Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of August 1961, and wow, there's a simple answer. It's a very unique omnibus and it's got a lot of titles. There you can see all there, and you've got the covers, of course, they always do in omnibuses. This is all for one single month, obviously the classic month for Fantastic Four number one. So you've got Kathy, Amazing Adventures, Journey into Mystery, and many others. Now it's got a lovely white there. I'm certain that will end up over the years, get slightly damaged. However, what a great cover that is. That's just beautiful, just seeing all the characters there. Just love him. Now, let's just quickly go to let's move this. And I have to say, one of the slight disappointments, and it is a slight disappointment because this book is absolutely amazing. Why did they go with such a really not particularly very pleasant looking cover there? Very strange. And also on the back as well. Really? They could have gone for Fantastic Four. They could have done all loads of characters they could have gone through. However, that's one of the things. They obviously decided on that for some weird reason. Best down to themselves. There, August 1961, you can see there. Just absolutely beautiful, absolutely brilliant. It's got nice quality. 520 pages, obviously predominantly all colour all the way through. There's obviously a few bonus material, and I will get to that. Now this is really, I think it's going to be unique. I suspect Marvel will never ever do this again. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll do the next month and the month after. Some months, of course, they didn't have anything. So October, I think, there was no comics at all. So, and also one you should notice with this, of course, is the actual dates as well. On the actual thing, you've got October, November and December mentioned, but they were all on the newsstand. Now, I'm not certain that any other publisher could really do something like this. Of course, lots of the publishers have long gone. So you've got lots of them like St. John's, whatever, and Hillman, many others probably could have done the sort of thing. DC, I'm not certain they could do a single month volume. Maybe they could, maybe they wouldn't. However, Marvel could at least do it to about probably 1963. They could probably do all of them each month, and that would be superb. However, maybe not as an omnibus edition. Maybe, I look at that beautiful red there as well. August 1960, you've got all the, obviously, the covers all there again, and of course got the classic, the four there. And of course, another thing that would be an issue, if you were going to do like an omnibus again, this is probably unique in terms of there's not many dates. You could say there's obviously the showcase issue 4, that month for that, probably, and that's going to be quite a few years off. That's 5 years off if they're going to do an anniversary of that. But there's not many other. Obviously later on you've got maybe the first appearance of Wolverine, but there will be a lot of issues. There'll be a massive omnibus if they did that. However, you've got obviously some of the various people there, and all the people obviously involved in it. So there's a lot of people there, special thanks, etc. And you've got here all the various. Now, there's a few minor criticisms, I would say, that I'm going to say right from the start. It would have been nice if there had been more articles, also articles from the fans, because a lot of the people in it, obviously Stan Lee, etc., he got a bit of mention. 1974, an article he wrote, and also there's another one here as well. But surely they could have put a few ones like from Alter Ego, a few other sort of Roy Thomas's recollections of the things, etc. Would have been really nice if they'd included those. Surely they would have had quite a few good memories of going to the newsstands at the time. However, there's the contents, and it's quite a long list, and you can see what they did. Quite a few where you got the very separate titles. So you like have 5. I entered the dimension of doom. I wish the creature from the black bog. Quite going down. There's a lot of horror, lots of science fiction, not any real crime, and weirdly, there's no war comics, which is very odd. I must admit that was one thing that slightly surprised me. I thought, oh, there'd be a war comic or two by this point, but obviously clearly not. There's obviously Westerns were still in, and Patsy and Heidi, or Hetty, not Heidi, Hetty. That's a different character completely. However, Fantastic Four, and this is a lovely little article there, Fantastic Four. And however, it would have been nice if there had been like 5 or 6 of these articles. I would have loved to see that. You got Kathy. Now, probably Kathy's, well, there's a few weak ones that you might think, you know what, rereading maybe you probably think no. But but they're still really, really nice, and there's nothing wrong. And the restoration is superb. It's really, and the paper quality is very different as well. It's not the usual paper quality. It's that you can see there's no shine on it particularly. It's not, there's a bit, but it's not like a, and the colouring I find absolutely perfect. Obviously they've changed it slightly because they got down there the writers, which of course they wouldn't have included when it originally came out. And obviously all the fashion, I love all those, like the check design there, sail and all there. And they would have had a lot of no, story, of course, there as well. They always had those sort of stories, very odd, which is weird. I'm not saying, don't think they had one in Fantastic Four, which is very strange. However, can you find the real Kathy? They did all these sort of things. And this was quite nice when they had all the names of all the various people that would have contributed. They always complete list. They also put the address as well. They wouldn't do that nowadays, I'm quite certain. So it's very strange. Kathy, Mirror, Mirror. And some of these are only like 2 pages. That was it. You had a very short story, but it was well told, very quick. And so you got another one there, Kathy, Mirror, Mirror on the wall. In fact, it's 1 page. That's it, the end, right at the end. So it's very hard not to avoid spoilers on that sort of thing because that's the story. And also you've got these ones. You draw the design, which is great. Of course, and I guess they probably say, oh, you could even send it in. I'll print your name in the future issue, which I think is lovely. Kathy, how? Well, there's that. Also, another thing you'll notice when you look at some of these stories, you quite often see characters and you think, that looks like XYZ. There's very similarity to certain characters. I'm not going to say which ones, but they used to think, oh, that looks a bit like, Hank Pym, or that looks like Janet Van Dyne. Those sort of things. So it's, and also, of course, some of the scenes look straight out of Fantastic Four. You've got this sort of scene, those sort of things with the monster as well. Obviously, looks very much like the Thing in that. Very surreal. But Cicero, Serpo, something. But also he did it in chapters as well, which was, I love the chapter approach. I don't know why they just don't do that now. It'd be nice. Also, you've got a little bit there, which sort of like the Hulk and sort of Bruce Banner, the introduction of. However, you've got the 4th man. You've got some great, Dr. Droom as well, good old Dr. Droom. I love the colouring. The colouring is just superb, actually. I think they did quite a few stories here. I have become huge, powerful. There was quite a few. And they always seem to have these mysterious powers where they could sort of zap everyone, hypnotise everyone. They used that storyline quite a few times. And of course, there was always one person that was resistant or whatever, or something would happen. That was the way they got out. What lurks on Channel X? Exact same sort of story. Not to put any spoilers in these things. I mean, you've probably seen some of these stories already. There's a few ones that probably been done to death in some of the reprints. Some, of course, have never been reprinted. I'd love to see like this one, like Don Heck. Been brilliant if they brought out an omnibus collection of it. Or yeah, Don Heck one there. So that would be lovely. A Don Heck omnibus of all these sort of science fiction, horror story sort of ones. That's a good horror story. Or science fiction story more than anything. One look means doom, and also you see similarity in all the obviously banners that are used as well. And then you get on to this one as well. This is a lovely one. That's a great story. Brilliant Ditko. And I'm just going to get over this one. Life with Millie. Got Life with Millie there. Brilliant. Now I would love to see an epic collection or 2 or 3 of Millie. It's never going to probably happen. I'm dreaming, obviously, but it could happen, I guess. Murray pin-up as well. Maybe they brought out a collection. Of course, they did bring out a Marvel Masterworks pin-up collection. Unfortunately, these ones were never included, which was a pity. I love, again, the lovely people would send it in. Life with Millie. They were separate stories again. Just superb. Oh, this one, Patsy Walker. So there's quite a few stories, similar characters. Patsy Walker, of course, very important because she came Hellcat, of course. And also this guy as well. He was obviously ends up a major villain later on, so it's quite nice to see the characters, and you've got there. Obviously, in this, it's very much more sort of tame. Again, you've got another one of these lovely colouring page ones, which was very good. I think and I always love all the dads as well. The dads are always sweaty, always spending money. They're always the daughters always, oh, can I have that? Can I have that? And they're always another couple of things that, oh, he's coming to life. Another one, you've sealed the doom of the world. There was lots of those sort of brilliant storylines. And actually, some of the things you can see here, Ditko, again, you can see some of the characters, the things. It just looks straight out of Spider-Man at times. And I think, wow, Or even, of course, sometimes you've got here a bit of Doctor Strange there, I guess, probably more a sort of thing. That could easily be Doctor Strange sort of scene, couldn't it? And then you've got some, obviously, some Western stories, which are always good. See there, outlaws, etc. And I entered the dimension of doom, as well as the brilliant one there. And that's, of course, by Jack Kirby. And then A Creature from the Black Bog. And that's a good story. Actually, there's so many good stories in this. They are still, even though they're cliched and you look at them and think, really? But they're still very good. Going down 13th floor, you know even before you get to the end what's going to happen. So, but it's still great, and I love those. So you've got that story there, and again you've got some brilliant. And that one again, very similar to Familiar Villains. And this one's a lovely story, Ditko story there. Some guy who's obviously immortal to a degree. And you've got Germ Warfare, again another story there. Around the World with Millie. I mean, brilliant. I just love, they should bring out collections of these. I just do not understand why there isn't. So, Millie the Model and other ones. And then we get to a weird one, which of course, Linda Carter, which is not the same Linda Carter, though personally, probably Linda Carter. Student Nurse. Obviously, that was a popular, and there were lots of these nurse ones back then, Student Nurse, etc. Charlton, they had loads of those ones. Then you got Beauty at the Beach. Again, another poster that was, I wonder how many times these were ripped out of magazines. I'm certain they were put on the walls and those sort of things, ruining the issues forever. However, of course, we come to the main story here, and it's just beautiful. This magazine, this book is like having all of the 19 comics that would have been on the newsstands at that time. It'd be impossible to pick them up now. Well, probably someone could, but it would be, I don't think they've ever been as nice as this. I mean, there's no way that when this was released, even when it's released, it didn't look as good as this. To me, this is as good as it's ever going to get, unless they find, which unfortunately I don't think exist, the original pages, and then they could and they're probably not in great condition now anyway. So this is just beautifully, and I love all these sort of things like this. You've got the thing bursting through the thing. Why do they make it so narrow? Well, hang on. How do you get in the store in the first place? It's always the question I've always wondered. Maybe there was another entrance. He just decided to go out through the front this time instead of the back. However, Mole Man, of course, classic. Now that creature did decide to be a bit like Giant Man. Maybe he was Giant Man. He sort of grew. And also, of course, the characters themselves. I mean, the Human Torch here looks pretty big in comparison. And yet other times he looks enormous, this monster. So he did sort of vary in size. The Mole Man's secret wasn't much of a secret. However, you got other stories here, and you got The Midnight in the Wax Museum. Again, another brilliant Jack Kirby there. That's just great. Oh, Don Heck one is loads. Again, it's such a pity because recently we've had like the Steve Ditko Omnibus and also Jack Kirby Omnibus collections. Don Heck, why not? Bring Don Heck's Omnibus out, definitely. And you've got another one, Love Romances. So a lot of material, and I love the artwork in this. Absolutely beautiful. Some of them not. Actually, this one's a bit weird. Don't know who he was. Yeah. So, Too Young, it says there. And then another story. Another one where you see sort of the standard Ditko characters. You see, that character looks like XYZ from another one. Witch Hunt, brilliant. Journey's End, just classic all the way through this book. Just story after story. Of course, you've got more westerns there, teenage romance, and all through that, and another western one at the end. I don't want to show all the pages. I'm not showing all the pages. Patsy and Eddie there, not saying their names correctly. And what's new? I don't know what that's about. Patsy and Eddie again. And unfortunately, the bonus material is quite limited, which is a pity. A game which would have been nice if they had introduced lots and lots of maybe fans putting their comments about what happened at the time, what they bought, where they bought it. That would have been just brilliant. I would have loved all those recollections, even if it had been like about half a couple of paragraphs of people saying, I went to this newsstand, I found it, or I found it in the shop later. Those sort of things, or I found this, the Fantastic Four ones. All those sort of things could have done. Maybe some production details. Though this, well, I'm not going to show that, spoil that. That is something that's pretty impressive. And you got obviously some Jack Kirby, etc. There's some. But wow, what a brilliant book. Even if not the world's greatest thing. I have to say this is just unique. So I don't really see them ever produce anything like this ever again. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will produce something. Maybe the one for Spider-Man. It's possible. I don't know how many issues came out that month, and maybe that would be brilliant as well. Let's hope they do. An Amazing Fantasy version of this, and that would be superb. Obviously, you've got probably Thor. I think Thor came out that same month, so they could combine that, and then maybe one fight for the Avengers and X-Men or something. That sort of period. Because there wasn't probably that many comics at that time. So you could probably still come in. And also maybe, I think, an epic collection, an epic series, maybe obviously August 61, I say 62, 63, etc. would be superb. And, well, I loved it. I absolutely, and it's a special because of many other reasons as well. This is just, for me, unique. Just loved it. I've been enjoying it, just reading through all the stories. They're great. Some are terrible to read. Some you pass over. And maybe, but they're all, it's just a step back into 1961. Basically, what you need now, of course, is probably to put Dick Van Dyke Show or whatever, all the various TV shows on in the background. Some nice 1961 music, maybe Elvis Presley, whoever that was in the charts at the time. And you could sort of go straight back to maybe sit and watch Magic City or something, one of those sort of things, brilliant series, just to get in that feel of... but however, I just loved it. Absolutely brilliant book. Totally recommended. And the only few criticism, it was expensive. So I bought this at a reasonable price. So I was pleased to see it because at first I thought it was going to be very, very expensive. And I thought, and because I really wanted it, as soon as it was announced, I thought, yes. However, sort of stuck at quite a high price point for quite a while, but it did come down finally. So I definitely recommend it. If you want this, get it, because I suspect it's going to be one of those ones that once it's out of print, it's probably going to be pretty tricky to get. So definitely, totally, brilliantly recommended.